From hero to anti-hero, the origin of Black Zero, hypertension. DC has meticulously swerved through its complex plots involving multiverses and several time streams, and with that, they have brought us alternative worlds with several versions of our favorite popular superheroes. This can often result in an overload of information or a complete mumbo-jumbo mess of a plot. However, DC being DC, has managed to keep the readers on their toes with its several interpretations of characters, getting them involved in lush, broad storylines that are quite entertaining. Superboy and his clones, including Black Zero, join the roster of such superheroes who have been part of an otherwise complicated story structure. But Black Zero is very different from all the other interpretations of Superboy. Not to say that he is a villain or that he is evil, yet he is definitely quite the antagonist as someone who is fighting for a cause that is noble to him, but not to his opposers. And to know him and the motives behind his actions, we bring you this video as we get into the details of Black Zero's origins. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. Black Zero's tragic origin. The 1994 Superboy comics take us across a Black Zero run where he is trying to fight for the rights of clones, obviously in the worst way imaginable. But how did he come to be, and what is his connection with Superboy? There's an easy answer to that. First, let us talk about hypertime. It is a time stream where, from a certain point in the main universe, time diverged into several other realities. This interconnected flow of said realities is known as hypertime. In one of the time streams, the original Superman had died, leaving the world devoid of its beacon of hope. As such, Project Cadmus was initiated. It was a genetic engineering program that often experimented on extraterrestrials, with Superman technically being an alien and Project Cadmus' unique selling point being genetic engineering. Clones of Superman were made. The event took place across several realities in hypertime, where the original Superman failed at coming back to life, giving rise to a horde of Superboys across different time streams. Black Zero happened to be one of them, but of course, a lot of things went down before a friendly Superman clone turned into the villain of the story. The 61st issue of the Superboy comics opens with two Superboys fighting one another, with one of them wearing a traditional superhero cape while the other sports a jacket. Black Zero's identity and location seem to be the topic of discussion. Soon, they get attacked by Knockout, a former female Fury from the race of New Gods in Apocalypse. The Superboys and Batman are unable to stop her despite their combined efforts, and Knockout ends up knocking the Superboy with the jacket out of his reality. Meanwhile, the other Superboy, who was warning his peer about Black Zero, dies. The jacket he was wearing was one that would allow him to jump through hypertime, and that is exactly what happens as Superboy finds himself in the Batcave of a different reality, with a different Superboy choking him. They notice his jacket, which should have been present in Fortress Cadmus instead of on Superboy. Soon, it is revealed that Cadmus refers to itself as the protector of genetics, while the masses grow more and more anti-clone every single day. This is an issue considering the fact that all the Superboys are clones of the original Superman. They begin to assume that the Superboy in the hyper jacket is a spy of Black Zero, because that jacket is supposed to be present only in Fortress Cadmus. On top of that, the jacket seems to have a teleporter attached to it. Soon, the jacket gets activated again, and Superboy finds himself in a different reality. Initially, he assumes that he is back to where he had come from, since Knockout seems to be charging towards him yet again. However, this is a different world, and on seeing Superboy, Knockout hugs and kisses him, implying that the two are not enemies in this world. She notices his jacket and is relieved that he is back in his own world, ready to take down Black Zero. Superboy is completely out of it as he does not understand what in the world is going on. Knockout casually mentions Superboy's involvement in her leaving behind a criminal life when several Storm Guards attack them, mocking Knockout's reformation as they claim that the only way they can even have this jacket is if they have stolen it, which clearly seems to be the situation. However, Superboy gets transported to a different reality once again, and this time hops from one hypertime stream to the other. Ultimately, he crashes into this world like a meteor with his fried hyperjacket, and the place where he crashes into turns out to be Martha and Jonathan Kent's farm. As he awakens, he tries to fly away with his jacket having a meltdown when Krypto bites his ankle. The dog is a pet of the Superboy of this reality, and the two Superboys soon meet one another. They seem to already know each other, and soon Soon, the resident Superboy takes the visitor to meet his parents while Krypto flies away. It seems like Superboy is stuck in this reality since his hyperjacket has ceased to exist after going atomic. Meanwhile, Krypto is relieved by Black Zero, an alternate but grown version of Superboy with a cooler haircut, a soul patch beard, sunglasses, and bigger muscles. And considering how he treats Krypto, Black Zero is not the nicest guy. We jump to the 62nd issue, where the visitor Superboy, that is the hyperjacket Superboy, laments over not being able to go back into his reality without the jacket. To do what he can, the resident Superboy gives him a signal device to use, lest the other ever need his help. The two Superboys soon leave the farm and find Krypto's cape stuck on a branch. Before they can locate where the trouble is coming from, trouble comes to them. Black Zero and his army full of storm guards corner the boys, asking them to join him. Naturally, they turn Black Zero down, which leads to a showdown where the Superboys are at a crippling disadvantage. Black Zero even shows off a grand display of his tactile telekinesis, which glues Superboy to the ground, while the resident Superboy is made to disappear with an energy bullet. Black Zero engages the other Superboy in a conversation, assuming that he is the one who stole the hyperjacket. When Superboy tells him that it was done by a different Superboy, Black Zero senses that he is not lying and makes him disappear with his energy bullet as well. He finds himself in Fortress Cadmus, while the Justice League of this Superboy's reality assumes that he is probably dead due to the dangerous mission. Meanwhile, he asks Black Zero about the other Superboy when the former shows off his collection of hundreds of Superboys being held captive in stasis. Soon, Black Zero dives into his backstory. Following the death of Superman, Project Cadmus focused on creating a Superman clone for the world. However, most of the subjects were freed too soon, leading to the birth of Superboys. Only in one reality did the project actually turn out to be successful, churning out a Superman who had reached adulthood. Needless to say, this Superman was Black Zero. He uses a virtual reality tool to make Superboy witness the key events in his life, and as such, the readers finally get to learn about the origin of Black Zero. He started off as a superhero who would do the same great deeds as his predecessor Superman. Unfortunately, the masses could never accept him since he was just a clone, also known as a genetics. He wasn't the real deal after all. He could never be. The issue went so far that all of Superman's enemies banded with one another and with assistance from Steel and Supergirl fought off the clone. The fight resulted in the death of Supergirl, Brainiac, and 318 civilians. This caused more of the public to turn against him, calling for the shutdown of Project Cadmus, and with it, its genetics. The original directors of the project, including Guardian, gave up. However, Westfield stuck with his project to its end, but soon, an anti-genetics crowd ended up killing Guardian. Distraught, Superman went to the Fortress of Solitude to learn Kyrptonian history and find answers. He eventually learned about a rebel group that fought for the freedom of genetics, and with that, Superman found his true calling. Now going by the name Black Zero, he decided that he would never let the same fate as Guardian fall on the other genetics. He remade Fortress Cadmus in his image and cloned Guardian, creating his army of Storm Guards, who had none of the Guardian's original memories and only knew of a world that hated them. Originally, Black Zero did not want war. He just wanted to be able to aid genetics when needed. However, the war came to them, and they had no choice but to fight and kill the Justice League. To keep good faith, Project Cadmus cloned the heroes that fell in battle, which resulted in them getting hate for being clones. Naturally, the newer clones sided with the other genetics and Black Zero, leading them to win the war against the dissenters. With this story, Black Zero wanted to help Superboy understand that he had no choice but to choose this path, otherwise his people would be destroyed. Soon, he shows Superboy his method that allows him to go to other realities to help the clones in danger without putting himself in jeopardy like Superboy had to with the Hyper Jacket. The element Hyperium and help from the new god Metron allow Black Zero to travel through hypertime, and throughout every reality, clones were hated. What Black Zero wanted was a Superboy who would be on his side, which was not what happened, as they began to oppose him. With no choice left, Black Zero captured the Superboys with his energy bullet, getting them stuck in his stasis pods. Soon, Black Zero notices Knockout, the one who had kissed Superboy, calling him his boyfriend, clearly referring to the Superboy who had died early into the story. He talks about the Knockout from Superboy's world being on his side, and it is evident which world Black Zero wants to get to next. It was in Superboy's world that Project Cadmus was on the verge of shutting down. Superboy wants to stop him, but what Black Zero shows him next blows his mind away in the worst way possible. Not only had he captured the Superboys from different realities, he had the different Doomsdays with him as well, and it took only one Doomsday to kill a Superman. The 63rd issue opens with Superboy disagreeing with Black Zero's plan. Let's call him Kon-El for convenience because that is his name after all. Soon, Westfield appears in front of them, and Superboy learns that his DNA was used in cloning his kind. Kon-El is really disappointed because he considers Westfield to be a slimy human being, and turns out Black Zero has several clones of this slimy guy on his side. Meanwhile, with Knockout as a captive, Black Zero is able to draw in a rebel group known as the Challengers of the Unknown into his fortress. Knockout soon attacks the Storm Guards with the Challengers, and Superboy begins to side with them. However, he finally reveals the truth about Knockout's boyfriend to her, claiming that her Superboy died in a different reality, and Kon-El was a different guy. Enraged, Knockout goes after Westfield, who has no choice but to jump into the Hyperium to protect himself and go to a different reality. However, there is a catch. The Hyperium is a fatal frontier. Any misstep while trying to travel via the natural element will cause every version of the person to get erased from existence, and as Westfield tries to flee from Knockout, his other versions disappear as well. Angered by Westfield's disappearance, Black Zero tries to throw in Knockout into the Hyperium, hoping to eradicate her from all realities. Soon, Kon-El threatens him with jumping into the Hyperium, which will eradicate Black Zero, who had initially hoped to get Superboy on his side in the fight against the genetics. However, he calls for the boy, Knockout, and the Challengers to be thrown into the same cell where the Doomsdays are being held within a solidified liquid that prevents them from coming out. Soon, Superboy learns about Black Zero learning about the existence of different realities with the arrival of the Challengers, who had arrived on Black Zero's world. Somehow, the genetics joined hands with Metron, which kickstarted the construction of the Hyperium reactor. While Black Zero would travel across realities to stop the anti-genetics people, the Challengers would follow him in hot pursuit to stop him, but as a result, they were unsure of ever being able to return to their homeworld. Stuck with the Doomsdays, Superboy is advised to use his tactile telekinesis to move the door. The plan works out initially, but it is soon revealed that the removal of the door has caused the release of the Doomsdays. As Knockout understands the gravity of the situation, she asks the others to leave while she sacrifices herself to buy some time as she fights the Doomsdays to the best of her abilities. The 64th issue starts with the escape of Superboy and the Challengers, alongside some Doomsdays. Black Zero teleports the Doomsdays to a dead hyperzone, and then tries to destroy the console which had the code that could send the Superboys in stasis to their realities. However, what he actually did was fall into Superboy's trap, who made him activate the watch that the Superboy from the first issue had given him. Immediately, the Superboys were freed from their stasis pods and begin to fight against Black Zero and his Storm Guards. Black Zero is not strong enough to stand against the combined tactile telekinesis of all the Superboys, but soon they all disappear, sans Kon-El. With a mother box suddenly stuck to Black Zero's chest, it is revealed that the Challengers have convinced Metron to observe a reality where Black Zero does not try to protect genetics. Being a neutral new god who does not care about good or bad, Metron just wants to observe. As such, he helps the Challengers get through hypertime without being eradicated, as he equips them with the necessary technology and knowledge. The Challengers and Superboy hop onto a hypership, which is soon compromised by a Black Zero in pursuit. The situation is tense, and Superboy almost falls off and disappears in hypertime when Black Zero saves him as he does not want to get erased from reality. However, he puts Superboy back in the hypership and disappears. Superboy Connor Kent as Black Zero. From 2021 to 2022, a 7-issue series called The Titans United made its mark on DC. Most notably, it brought all the Titans together, including Black Zero, but this Black Zero has a different origin than the one we just spoke about. Before becoming Black Zero, he was a Titan alongside Nightwing, Starfire, Beast Boy, Raven, Donna Troy, and Red Hood. His name was Connor Kent, but we are told that his superpowers were faltering, his life was not the best as he was not treated well by his teammates, which caused him to blame his status as a clone and made him turn against the Titans. Technically not his fault, because the Titans, instead of working as a unit, discriminated against him for being a clone and for having unstable powers. However, the situation was uncharacteristic of the Titans, implying that something bigger was at play here. Wanting to be alone, he left the Titans and went to a place where they could not find him. In fact, the fourth issue began with Starfire trying to look for him, but she soon had to give up on the search because of a bigger issue. Lady Vic seemed to have access to advanced alien technology, and the Titans were about to receive an alien invasion that was activating the sleeper agents on Earth. Unfortunately, before they could get Lady Vic to confess who she was working for, she disappeared. The scene shifted to an alien ship where Queen Commander of Tamaran, better known as Blackfire, and Starfire's Tamaranian sister held Connor Kent captive. Connor was weakened and in tears, while Blackfire was playing with his mind, talking about how his teammates had given up on him and were not looking for him. She created an intense self-loathing within Connor, taking advantage of his vulnerable heart. Soon, he got zapped with energy. Meanwhile, people from all around the world started showing metahuman abilities beyond anything anyone had ever seen before. At the same time, Starfire found Lady Vic and engaged her in battle. The fiasco ended with the apparent deaths of Beast Boy and Blackfire, while Donna Troy became the first Titan to meet an old friend, a very powerful Connor Kent, and now he was Blackfire's champion. When Donna asked him the reason behind his motives, he introduced himself as Black Zero as the two fought. Soon, Raven attacked him and got into his mind using his magic, wanting to know how he turned against them. Strangely, she found herself in her home planet of Tamaran, where her sister, now known as Blackfire, seemed to have trouble flying like the Titan Starfire. Blackfire did not have powers like Starfire, but as they grew up, Blackfire was able to defeat her sister in fighting arenas. However, Tamaran was soon attacked, and Blackfire took advantage of the situation to betray her sister. Using her, she was zapped with powers beyond those of Starfire's, and then took over her world. While Raven found Blackfire to be tyrannical, Black Zero called her magnificent because she showed him the truth and gave him his powers. She showed him how the Titans would kick him around and tell him that he was nothing without his powers, but Connor was a botched experiment and his DNA was crumbling, so without his powers, he was nothing but fodder to the Titans. As Raven saw these images of Connor being mistreated, she was quick to spot that these were false images planted into his head to make him turn against them. She tried to reason with Connor, but he was beyond help. He hated the Titans and followed Blackfire blindly. The scene shifted to the present where Black Zero defeated Raven in the fight, and the Titans were captured in Blackfire's quest to take over Earth, but the Queen was still looking to capture Starfire before proceeding with her plan. Meanwhile, Starfire was lying somewhere in Morton Manor, United Kingdom, gravely injured following the fight with Lady Vic. But soon, she awakened, and so did Lady Vic. The two of them seemed to be out of sync with whatever was going on when Blackfire made her entry and sent out the message that Earth was now under her control. Lady Vic and Starfire joined hands and attacked the common enemy. Lady Vic outsmarted Black Zero and freed the Titans, giving Raven the opportunity to heal Beast Boy. Meanwhile, Starfire and Blackfire fought one another. Black Zero and Red Hood engaged each other, and the fight put things into perspective. The former could kill his ex-teammate, but he chose not to. In fact, throughout the fights, he had been unable to kill any of the Titans, despite having the power to do so. Soon, Black Zero realized that something was off when Blackfire's new allies arrived, and Zero understood that he knew nothing about them. Blackfire revealed that she was never interested in invading Earth, and instead used him to get the Citadel Annihilation Fleet to invade. Turns out, they had the power to crack Earth like an egg. However, she was never in league with them. Enraged, Black Zero attacked her for lying and planting images into his head, but in the end, could not bring himself to kill her either. With a complicated situation at hand, Blackfire had to join hands with the Titans to fight off the common enemy and win the bigger battle that was about to take place. And once again, Black Zero was back to being Connor Kent, the Titan who would fight against the Citadel with his teammates in tow. How powerful is Black Zero? As a clone of Superman's, Black Zero is clearly a ridiculously powerful character in the DC universe, at least when compared to the earthly heroes and villains. His crazy tactile telekinesis gave him access to telekinetic superhuman strength, flight, the ability to deflect things, lift objects, disassemble them, throw blasts, and bend matter into any shape of his desire. He had other abilities akin to those of Superman's, such as super hearing, heat vision, super breath, invulnerable physique, superhuman stamina, speed, and longevity. He also had enhanced microscopic vision, X-ray vision, infrared vision, telescopic vision, and electromagnetic spectrum vision. The one issue that neutralized his power was the fact that his enemies, that is the Superboys, were just like him, maybe not as strong, but with the same abilities, and with every other Superboy standing against him, he was the odd one out, and the one big fish who could be ripped apart by the enormous school of smaller fish. Marvelous verdict. We have established the fact that Black Zero is not exactly a villain. Throughout his war against genetics, it occasionally made sense as to why he would take the drastic measures he took. Sometimes one needs to face the worst of their world to understand what is truly needed. In the case of Black Zero, his world wanted him, and everyone like him, dead, going far enough to murder Guardian. So if you think of things from the point of view of Black Zero himself and the other genetics from his world, he was their hero and their savior. He did not do anything unprovoked. Sometimes it gets hard to stand against some of the antagonistic characters, and clearly, Black Zero is a great example of such a character. And with that, today's video comes to an end. What did you think of Black Zero? Did you enjoy this video? If yes, then don't forget to like and comment on this video. Till then, goodbye and have a nice one.